All right, everyone. Welcome into another episode of In the Lead. Hope you all are doing well. It's the first time that we've done a new episode in a while. So obviously we're here to talk about the big news that broke yesterday. Is that IndyCar is getting its own video game for the first time in over 20 years. And this time, unlike the whole motorsport games debacle, this one's actually going to happen because it is being produced, and while it's being produced, it's being created under the iRacing umbrella. And I'm here. We're here to talk about. I have some thoughts on it, on what I'd like to see in the game, and I'm also here to kind of clear up some misconceptions that I've heard about this game. So let's talk about it. According to the press release yesterday, it will release in the second half of 2026. Let's talk about that first. I'm okay with that. I mean, listen, this game, it's a long time coming. We haven't had an IndyCar video game in over 20 years. The last time there was an IndyCar game, it was for the PS2. This game's going to release on the PS5. It's two whole console generations, without an IndyCar game. That's huge. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, seriously. But so I would say sometime next summer is when we'll see this game. Ideally, if it was a perfect world, I would try to release this game right around the Indy 500 or shortly before the Indy 500. Maybe even shortly after the Indy 500, maybe heading into Detroit next year. But it's not going to be, unfortunately. I don't think. It'll be second. It'd say second half, so I would say probably sometime next summer, maybe June or July of next. Well, not even June. I'd say maybe July of next summer. And you also have to remember, there is another big game coming out shortly after the Indy 500. It's a little game called GTA 6. Again, as of right now, that's coming out, but that's subject to change. There could be another delay. We'll see. But we'll see if GTA 6 comes out on time. I don't know if it will. But IndyCar is the big story here. And that was the biggest story of the day yesterday. I don't care what anybody says. If you're a racing fan like me, it was a big story yesterday. More than that other big story that everybody else is talking about. So let me clear up some misconceptions before we continue here. Number one, it was made clear in the press release yesterday that iRacing, that the Orontes engine is being used to build this game. What is that exactly? Well, last year there was a game that came out. It's called Exocross. It was for PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and also PC on the Steam store. Now, that game was built by a studio called Orontes that was bought out by iRacing. And that game is basically going to be a precursor to what the IndyCar game will look like, at least graphically. So if you want to get a feel for what the IndyCar game will look like, play Exocross. I played it a little bit last year. It's a fine game. It's not a terrible game by any significant stretch. I think it's a very good game. So let's continue with our talking here. Number two, NASCAR. Yeah, the people that are building NASCAR 25 have nothing to do with the iRace or with the IndyCar game. Absolutely nothing. That's their own separate thing. So that is they're two separate studios. They're building two separate games here. So let's just clear up that misconception. Okay. Now, Mike Straw, who is a trusted journalist, a trusted gaming journalist, did have some exclusive new details last night in his live stream, which I will link that video in the podcast description so you can see what I'm talking about. He reported last night that not only is this game in development already, this game is playable. It's functional, which is incredible given the timing here. They said they got the deal, or Mike said that the deal got done early this year, and they've probably been working on the game ever since. And he basically confirmed what I thought was going to happen, and they're doing the exact same thing they're doing with what they did in the NASCAR game, and that is they are porting all of the iRacing assets for IndyCar, the car, the tracks, the car models, the tracks, those are going to be in the game, which does not surprise me in the least. It does not surprise me at all. I figured the cars and the tracks the car models, and especially the tracks, would be in the game because iRacing already has a lot of the tracks that IndyCar goes to. They're already scanned in. So, like Mid-Ohio, Road America, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, both the road course and the oval, Barber, they're already scanned in. Long Beach, they're already scanned in. They're already laser scanned. iRacing has already scanned those in, so there's no need to build them from the ground up. Just bring the stuff in from iRacing, which is what they're going to do. And they are going to scan St. Pete because NASCAR, if you didn't know this already, NASCAR is going to release, or not, they already released the schedule, but NASCAR, the trucks are going to St. Pete for a doubleheader with IndyCar next season. So they have to scan St. Pete, and they will be doing that probably rather soon, I would think. So they'll probably have that in the new IndyCar game before too much longer, I would think. So they don't have Toronto scanned. That's pretty much the only track that IndyCar doesn't have scanned besides St. Pete. They have all the other tracks scanned in. Now, real quick before we end this podcast episode here, I want to talk about what I want to see in the game. As we know, the IndyCar series and Indy Next will be in this game, which is huge for both series, not just the IndyCar series, but Indy Next will be in this game too. The Indy Next series, which if you're not a particular fan of IndyCar, like I am, the Indy Next series is basically the Xfinity series, NASCAR, the Xfinity series of IndyCar. It's the up-and-coming stars that are moving up through the ranks, and yeah, that's basically what Indy Next is. So those cars will be in the game, and that's big for them. But I think something I want to see is some sort of customization, which I think there was some customization in Exocross in the game. This game will be using the same engine that Exocross was built on. So I do want to see some sort of customization. I don't know. I don't care how deep it is. It doesn't have to be a very deep customization, but at least some sort of customization, like where you can customize your car, you can customize your driver, things like that. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, but it doesn't have to be deep, but just some sort of customization, really. Even if you can build a custom season like you used to do in NASCAR Heat 5 or NASCAR Heat 4 and 5, that would be okay too. I mean, I wouldn't hate that. Wouldn't hate that either, But we'll see. We'll see what happens with this IndyCar game. But that's just something I'd really like to see. I just want the game to be good, and with iRacing at the helm, I have no doubt that it will at least be a good game. I wouldn't say it's going to be a great game right out of the gate. But I do think it will be a good game. I think it'll be functional. It'll be playable. I think a lot of the fan base will enjoy it, and hopefully this does bring in some younger viewers, younger people into the sport. They'll buy the game. They'll play the game. They'll enjoy it. They'll want to start watching. Especially, like I said, if this game is good, and I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of games, NASCAR 25 is right around the corner. It's coming out October 14th, as I mentioned earlier in this podcast. I do have some thoughts on that. I'm saving that for when the gameplay trailer comes out, which it could be today as I'm recording this, or it could be tomorrow. They said the end of August, so sometime this week. It has to be sometime this week that we will get the gameplay trailer for NASCAR 25. Once that comes out and the track list, which is something I'm really curious about, once those two things come out and we get a little more details, I am going to make a podcast episode around that. Again, that's when we get the gameplay trailer and when we get the track list. So soon you will get that episode, but not right at this moment, because we just don't have that yet. I do have thoughts. I just want to wait till that stuff comes out before I share my thoughts. But that was my thoughts on the IndyCar game that is coming out the second half of next year. I can't believe I'm saying those words, but it's coming. It's coming. It's very exciting. It's coming. You be excited. I'm definitely excited. So, thank you all for listening. I do appreciate it. Do follow the podcast on Spotify, my YouTube channel, as well as iHeartRadio. I will be back again with another episode. Again, once we have the gameplay trailer and the track list for NASCAR 25. Once we have those, I will be back with another episode just talking about my thoughts leading up to NASCAR 25 and what we have seen thus far. In the meantime, I will see you all soon. In the meantime, take care.